Today's First Alert afternoon weather update is brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.
Good Tuesday afternoon. I'm First Alert meteorologist Diane Phillips joining you at the First Alert desk. I know after a long holiday, we're happy to have you. And it is kind of maybe easy to be, oh, what day of the week is it? We're going to be a little bit thrown off since we had that holiday on Monday. But again, happy to have a lot of you here. Hopefully you're kind of getting back into the swing of school and work after a long weekend. It was absolutely beautiful outside. So hopefully you were able to take advantage of the nice weather, the sunshine, dry conditions. I know we had quite a few people who were traveling for the holiday. Of course, with the Zilwaukee Bridge, we had quite a few folks who were driving through downtown Saginaw trying to avoid the traffic, but plenty of people hopefully taking advantage of the nice weather, because we are going to be talking about a little bit of a change of seasons. And I know a lot of us here in Michigan, we know that it's, oh, just kind of blink and it'll change. Well, that very much is going to kind of be what happens here this week. We have two seasons. We're in summer right now. Fall is going to be on the way here in just a couple of days, and we'll talk about the chances of that kind of holding on here in the forecast. So I know I am a summer fan, I will admit, and I kind of want to hold on to it as long as I can, but sometimes we can't quite keep it going. Of course, those new seasons have to come in. Now, actually, one of our sister stations through our company, they were kind of keeping an eye to some of these end of the season things, talking about cicadas, and I know that we've had plenty of them here. So just a little bit of fun facts and kind of tidbits that they put together on the cicada season, and I want to share those with you right now.
Those cicadas, because you probably hear them over there, maybe, and it's my favorite sound. The classic late summer sounds of cicadas are in full swing, and how much longer will it last? You can hear them a little bit there. Annual cicadas begin emerging. They're being quiet. They're shy from TV. From July to August, and are sometimes called the dog day cicadas because they come out during the long, hot, and humid days in the middle of summer. After an egg hatches, then the nymph falls into the ground and can live underground for about 2 to 5 years before it comes up as an adult to complete the circle of life.
They'll only be in their adult form for a couple of weeks, and then they'll die off. The females try to find smaller trees or smaller twigs about an inch in diameter for them to lay their eggs.
She says that once we reach the middle of September, their sound will begin to die off. Cicadas are great for the environment and serve as food sources. Tree pruners and their nymphs aerate the soil while underground.
Now.
So just some interesting information. Of course, we have those cicadas that can really come out when we have those special and unique years to where we find those broads that are emerging at times. So thankfully, we didn't have any of that here in mid-Michigan for the season, but we are going to find that we do have still some cicadas hanging around. A little bit of a fun fact is that the wives' tale is that when you have that first cicada that you hear, they typically say 6 weeks until the first frost. And of course, we've been hearing them all throughout August. So hopefully that wives' tale doesn't work out. I know I've seen it come a little bit close, or at least a chance of some cooler air. And we've seen some cooler nights. I know last week we had that frost advisory across our northern counties. So it might try to ring true, but hopefully we can kind of keep that frost at bay. I know a lot of our farmers do not want to see that in the forecast, and I know a lot of your plants that are still going strong do not want to see frost in the forecast. But kind of as we get into gear here, we are going to find that we do have after school. We are going to be talking about kind of that school forecast, since that is now back. A lot of our schools did start last week, but we are going to find that they, well, the remaining school districts did get going this morning. So for after school, we're still going to have plenty of sunshine. Temperatures are going to be into the mid to upper 70s. So this is going to be great weather if there's after school practice, or if it's your turn to pick up the kids from school. You are going to have a beautiful forecast for any of the after school events that are going to be taking place. So thankfully it makes it nice and easy. And even the ride home from school, I'm pretty sure the windows are going to be down on the bus to kind of get that breeze coming in. So we are going to have an absolutely beautiful Tuesday. Hopefully you can take advantage of it and get outside. We are going to find a little bit of cloud cover has started to pop up for us, though. You can see here in downtown Saginaw that we do have the blue skies that are hanging around. A little bit of that cloud cover, though, still holding on. So we are going to hope that any of those showers are going to stay away, because some of these cumulus clouds can get just tall enough to where we will be watching for some showers. But overall, we still have some sun that can kind of poke through. We're just catching a moment of some shade here on our camera. Actually, I do have our Birch Run camera that's readily available, so you can see it a little bit brighter here. And we are going to still find some cumulus clouds that are hanging around. So just be patient. If you do get caught underneath a cloud, hopefully it's not bringing you any rain chances, and hopefully you just have to wait a few minutes for that sunshine to come back through. We are going to see that we do have our temperatures. Those are currently going to be sitting into the mid to upper 70s. We are finding 77 in Oscoda, same for Houghton Lake and Mount Pleasant, 80 degrees in Clare, 77 in Alma, Owasso, 75 in Saginaw, 76 in Flint, 74 into Bad Axe, 78 in Marlette, 70s. We did make it for Port Hope and Harbor Beach. We're still at 68 though for Port Sanilac, and we have 65 in Tawas City. Of course, with the cooler air coming in, it didn't take long, and a lot of our water temperatures have started to drop. So we are going to find that we do still have some cooler conditions for our lakeshore communities, but yet we are going to try to at least hold on to some 70s. This is fairly seasonal. Normal highs at this point in the year should be around 78 degrees. So we're at least back on track today, and still tomorrow we do have some warmer temperatures. So with the summer-like conditions, I highly recommend you get outside this afternoon. You are going to continue to track temperatures that are in the mid to upper 70s, and that sunshine should hold on. We will have those cumulus clouds, though, that pop up at times. So it is still going to be beautiful. Take advantage. If you are a fan of the summer weather, get outside now and enjoy it, because I have fall weather to first alert you to. So enjoy the nice conditions that we have. Even this evening is going to be great for dinner on the patio. I know on our TV5 News at noon, I was saying, hey, if you have the chance to go and eat lunch outside, do it. Same for dinner, because tomorrow we have rain. So even though it looks a little bit warmer, it's going to be hard to get outside and grab a bite to eat and enjoy the nice weather, especially if it's not so nice if we have some rainfall coming in. So as I had mentioned, we are going to be first alerting you to some of the cooler conditions coming in. So our highs are going to be giving us a taste of fall here later this week. We're going to be finding those into the mid 60s starting Thursday and lasting through the weekend. So that's a little bit more in line with weather that we would typically see towards October. So we are going to find our conditions are going to be a little bit ahead of schedule when we are talking the chance for fall-like conditions. So we very much go from summer to fall, just like that this week. Now, will that hold? That's going to be the big question, but at least we still see temperatures today, upper 70s, even some lower 80s possible, but then those 60s come in. So that's very much a Michigan forecast when we have 2 seasons in 1 week. And Wednesday, I don't anticipate it to be a 2 seasons in 1 day kind of setup, but it might feel a little bit like that, because the swing is going to be very much noticeable, going from upper 70s to mid 60s. So that 10 to 15 degree drop, you're going to notice it outside. So hopefully you have those jackets ready to go. But before we kind of dive into some of the climates and also answer that question on how the rest of the season looks like, if this is going to be the official start to the fall season, if fall is here, summer's wrapping up, we're going to talk about the data and kind of see what those trends look like coming up. But we are going to take a real quick break and be right back. Welcome back. As promised, we are going to be looking to see what are the odds that we are able to hold on to some of the fall-like weather coming through. So we are going to see that normal temperatures should be hanging around those 70s for highs. In Saginaw, 78, 77 in Flint, and 75 in Houghton Lake. So we're about right on track with where we should be. Overnight lows have also been a little bit cooler. We have seen some nights where we've been into the 40s. Over the weekend, we were experiencing that. I'm sure a lot of our campers noticed it, especially if they were in a tent. Hopefully they had their sleeping bags though to stay nice and warm. But typically we should be seeing temperatures into the low to mid 50s. Of course, Houghton Lake, that number kind of drops a little bit, being a little bit further north. So that's why that one's just a little bit on the cooler side. But we are going to see that we are just a little bit below average, not only on our highs, but also our lows. And we're really experiencing on the lows, which is kind of different than what we've had here during the summer. We've had some fairly mild nights. So with us seeing a little bit of a earlier spell to where we have some cooler air coming in at night, that will make a pretty big difference. But I do want to pull up our maps for what the rest of September kind of looks like here. So it's kind of quiet when we look at this outlook. So this is coming from the Climate Prediction Center. This is their maps that they released. They release these for a kind of 6 to 10 day outlook, 8 to 14 days. We get a monthly look and then a seasonal look of about a 3-month period. So this is just for the month of September. And also one thing that I do want to point out is that here in September, our averages drop really quickly. It's only a couple of days and then we lose a degree. About 2 days, we lose another degree. So you're really going to find that those averages start to tumble pretty quickly here for the month of September. But we do find that we have a bullseye of warmer air, and this is going to be setting up in the northern and kind of even west of the Central Plains. So they have the better chance of seeing temperatures that are going to be above average. This map isn't really all that exciting because what it means for us and kind of everybody else that's into the gray shading is that we just kind of have equal chances of our temperatures to be a little bit closer towards normal. So with our numbers and our averages dropping, we are going to see that we're probably going to kind of ride along with that path. But this is the whole month, so it's not going to be able to go kind of week to week here. But we are going to be seeing that overall for the month, we should just kind of be going in between seasons of summer and fall and kind of transitioning through there. I do also want to talk about the water component of this because we don't really see a strong signal for us to catch up on some rain. I know that we are still working with some drier conditions in some areas, but we are going to find that it is in the Central Plains where they do have a better chance of picking up on a little more moisture. Same can be said for Florida and then along the coast. That also makes sense because we have the hurricane season that is going to start to kind of ramp up here. It's been a little bit on the quiet side. We do still have that one hurricane, or excuse me, the disturbance, kind of a wave that's coming off into the Atlantic currently, but for now it's been fairly quiet. But that's why they do have that above average or above normal precipitation there because of the tropical season. For us though, it doesn't really look like we're going to be seeing anything kind of too out of bounds, no big outlier events to kind of swing and pivot that data. So this is just kind of how the month of September looks. Pretty traditional is what we are expecting. Of course, we have had a cooler swing, but maybe that also means that later in the month we do kind of pick up on some heat. I am a little bit cautious. I know a lot of us here on the First Alert Weather team, we've been talking saying, oh, it's been a little bit cooler, but just wait till October when we have that push of summer that comes back in. So we are very much cautious that we still could have some warmer air that comes in a little bit later into the season. Not necessarily seeing that trend, but with us all being Michiganders here, we just kind of know how it goes. Summer always has kind of one last thing to say. It makes a stand and then it is kind of done for the season after that. So we'll be watching to see what October brings, but here during September, we are going to be doing those transitions. Now our temperatures, we are going to find those for a lot of us across the country. This is for the next season. So this is going to include September, October, and November. So to kind of get us through fall, we are going to find that a lot of us have a pretty good chance at seeing temperatures above average. We're kind of sitting around that 40-50% chance. So overall, it looks like our fall may be a little bit more on the mild side compared to what we typically expect. So even if September is a little bit cooler, we may find that October and November might be a little bit on the more mild or warmer side. So it really kind of takes all 3 months to put this forecast together. If maybe you have some plans to go towards the Northeast, maybe go to Maine, see some fall color. I know that those are some hot spots for color. I know even locally we love doing it. But you will find that you do have temperatures here through the fall season going to be a little bit warmer there. So if maybe you are thinking about doing a road trip there or have a trip planned already, just keep in mind that with it being a little bit warmer, that might slow down the release of some of the chemicals in the leaves that could slow down some of that color, because kind of the cooler nights is really where we start to see a ground made on that color coming through. So just something to keep in mind. Also, in the southwest corner of the state, they are anticipating seeing above normal temperatures there. So we're all going to be experiencing potentially a little bit of a warmer fall, but we are going to find that we are definitely not in the hot spots for the season. Looking at the precipitation side for the month of fall, September, October, November, that 3-month period, we do anticipate kind of where we had that hot weather in the Four Corners region, below normal precipitation is also expected. Still kind of hinting at yet a little bit of that hurricane season carrying on here for September, and maybe even some systems trying to linger into October. Across Florida, we are still anticipating above normal precipitation there. Locally for us, we aren't seeing really a trend that kind of swings us either way. So we have equal chances that we could see our precipitation amounts above or below. So it really is going to kind of be a traditional fall from the looks of it when we kind of dive through some of that climate data. Speaking of rainfall, I do just want to do a quick check here on our pinpoint Doppler. Pretty quiet. We have been checking those cumulus clouds kind of developing. So far, no rain showers. We did have kind of that 10% kind of off chance that we did pick up a rogue sprinkle coming through, but a lot of us thankfully have been able to stay dry. But we do also have some rainfall that's going to be coming in a little bit later this week. So I am going to take another quick break because I do kind of want to set up to talk about that cold front coming in, the timing, and what that's going to mean for later on this week, not only with temperatures, but what that could also mean for folks going to high school football games. So stick with us. We're going to take a 60-second break, and we'll be coming right back here to the First Alert desk. Thanks for sticking with us on this Tuesday afternoon. Let's just go right into the hour-by-hour forecast, where we are planning on keeping it a little bit drier for today. That sunshine out there, but with the cumulus clouds like we saw a little while ago in Saginaw, kind of providing a little bit of shade. But thankfully, we have been able to keep some of those showers at bay. You can see around Grand Rapids, we just have that little speck of green there. So still, some of these clouds can get just tall enough to where we could see the chance for a sprinkle to come through. But a lot of us are going to be keeping that forecast on the drier side. So I don't anticipate many are going to say, hey, it rained on Tuesday. I think a lot of us are going to be saving that for Wednesday. Now, we are going to see that we do have our cloud cover that starts to increase. We have a cold front that's going to be setting up for the middle of this week. So as we go into tomorrow morning, we have seen some changes in the forecast. So kind of listen up here. If you haven't tuned into the forecast lately, you are going to see that we do have that rainfall that sets up towards our west. This is in the morning. So a couple of our weather models have been showing kind of an earlier arrival. We were mainly looking, especially last week, for it to be coming in towards the evening. We are going to see now that it looks to be a little bit closer towards the afternoon, and even some of the data that I've already seen, kind of the early stuff that's already trickled in for our afternoon suite of data, is that we do anticipate that arrival time to be a little bit closer towards lunch even, or early afternoon. So even though we do have the chance for a couple of showers into the morning, we really will actually keep the bulk of the rainfall to the afternoon and evening. And it is going to be a little bit broken coming in, and yes, there is a little bit of red in there. Mainly what that's going to be is some steady and heavy rain. We are going to be picking up at least on a measurable amount of water from this system, but we are going to continue to see that this line just has non-severe thunderstorms in it if we do have some rumbles of thunder. A lot of this, though, is just going to be some generic general summer rain coming through. So plan on using those windshield wipers for the drive home from work on Wednesday. We will continue to see that rain kind of set across the thumb and a along I-69 as we get closer towards bedtime. So Wednesday evening plans, maybe you have middle school football games that are going to be going on Wednesdays. We are going to find that we do have rainfall, so it might be a little bit muddy. So for the parents who have to clean those uniforms, just a heads up, it could be a little bit sloppy out there, and not only is it going to be a little bit of a headache for laundry, but also you're going to have to sit there and cheer on the team. So it is going to be a wet one. So of course, check in with those schools to see how that's going to play out schedule-wise. Once that starts to pass, we have been watching the system for a little bit of wraparound rain. Looks like that is going to be staying towards our north. So much of the daylight hours on Thursday appear to be on the drier side. You can still see a little bit of green that tries to poke in here and there, but thankfully a lot of us do see that forecast to be dry on Thursday. So hopefully we can kind of pull back some of those chances of precipitation that we have on the 7-day forecast so that you can hopefully have some time to get outside on Thursday. It's going to be feeling, though, a lot cooler by then. Temperatures, reminder, are going to be into the 60s. Now, some of the rain totals that we are going to be eyeing here, we will have the potential for seeing about a quarter to even a half inch for some of us. Some of the higher totals that I have seen have been a little bit closer towards the thumb, but you can even see some of these swaths coming through do have some higher amounts. So of course, this is just kind of a general guide. These are not exact numbers on what we can expect town to town, but we are going to still see about a quarter to a half inch to be possible. Some locations may be on the lower side, some might be able to get close towards 3/4 of an inch. Either way, we have enough room for a half inch of water, and we will take it stretched out through a couple of hours. Also, we do have some rain chances for Friday, but I do want to kind of give you the first look at this. We do have some isolated showers that can linger going into Friday evening. The bulk of the Friday rain, though, looks to be closer towards kind of the morning, afternoon. So again, some of that can kind of linger through coming into our 7 o'clock kickoffs for a lot of our games, but we're hoping to kind of keep those at bay, get it cleared out before we head to the stadium. But temperature is still going to be a little bit cooler this week. We'll find readings into the 60s for kickoff and then upper 50s as we get a little bit closer even towards 8, 9 o'clock. So it'll be yet another cooler week. Also, Friday's looking a little bit breezy. So for coaches who are maybe trying to get an early look at the forecast, plan on some breezier conditions that may affect the kicking game, might even affect the throwing game. So kind of keep that in mind, that the weather is going to have a little bit to say on calling some plays. In the next 7 days, we are going to find that our temperatures today and tomorrow are still summer-like, sitting into the upper 70s, but we do have those mid-60s that are going to be rolling on through here as we go through the rest of the 7-day forecast. So that's why we are first alerting you to fall-like conditions. We will be enjoying the sunshine with just a few clouds this afternoon, but tomorrow we do have the rainfall that kicks in into the afternoon and evening, and then a little bit of that very early on Thursday, but during the daylight hours, that forecast starts to dry out for us. Friday, though, we do have the scattered rain chances. Right now, it doesn't look to be really raining out on a lot of our high school games. So we are going to be watching the timing to see if that can maybe speed up a little bit to guarantee that we have drier weather for our games. So there's still some changes that can come on timing for Friday. So if you are going to the local games, make sure that you keep an eye to the First Alert weather app. We have the QR code right here. I'll also be watching it here at our First Alert desk through the week. So if you have plans to go to the game, check in with the First Alert weather team. Going into the weekend, I know we also have some college football games that are in the state, so we are going to find temperatures still into the mid-60s this weekend. A little bit of sunshine, also some cloud cover, and with a little bit of that rain and cooler air coming in, we have that 10% for Saturday. It doesn't necessarily look rainy, but just a little bit of a lake effect rain showers could be in that area. So we're just kind of hinting to that now. Nothing really locked in and solid in that forecast, but we are seeing the chance to exist there before the forecast does a little bit better drying out going into Sunday and Monday. As I mentioned, that First Alert weather app, give that a try. It is free to download on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. And we are going to be right back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. So we are going to be, of course, highlighting the rain chances, looking at the timing of that cold front coming in tomorrow, and also still keeping an eye to high school football that we have for Friday night. But I thank you so much for joining us. Just a reminder that you can replay this. I know as our routines are getting a little bit, maybe a little bit ups and downs here because of school coming back in session. But you can rewatch us at the WNEM YouTube and Facebook pages for replay. But of course, if you're able to watch us live, we would love to see you at WNEM.com and on the TV5 News app at 2 o'clock. Plus, you can also catch us on our Roku and Fire Stick channels. There's also a lot of extra videos there as well. And then Apple and Android TV are another good place that you can connect with TV5. But thank you so much for spending your afternoon with me. And I look forward to seeing you right back here tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Thank you for joining us. Today's stream has been brought to you by Lockhart Roofing.